I want to share a mental model that changed how I think about creative work. It's one way of seeing your projects, and once you see them this way, you never really go back to the old way. So I've been working creative for going on 2 decades, and this idea has a double bonus in it. It's primarily for managing your time and resources as you balance your creative projects, but also can help you create experiences that double as some of your marketing. Let's get into it. So this idea is something that just kind of appeared during a coaching session with a client back around 2015, 2016. It's become one of the most useful frameworks I've ever used for my own practice and for when I've been collaborating with other creatives on their work as well. So usually if the discussion is around this idea of how do I balance the demands of my creativity, well, this mental model comes up. If you're not familiar with a mental model, it's basically a simple picture you hold in your mind, and that helps you make better decisions. You see something through a particular lens, and it changes how you act on it. I call this mental model fast lane, slow lane. And I don't think it's particularly original. I'm sure it's already a thing somewhere else. But the idea of it came up because when we're being a creative person, we've often got 2 competing types of projects running. We've got our fast lane projects, which are usually things that are quick and easy and often repetitive and ongoing. And then we've always got our slow lane projects, the things that take a lot more time and resource and energy to take to the finish line. It's probably a high chance you're already doing some version of this naturally, but I do think there's an advantage to naming it and making it deliberate and then actually making it a central part of your workflow, or adjusting it and tweaking it, making it your own, giving it a new name, whatever you like. The point here is that I usually track this in a project management app. I love seeing projects run simultaneously and visually. That works for me. You might want to reflect at the end of this video on how it could work for you. The point of all of this is so that we have a clear way to make decisions on where we place our resources, our time, and our energy. So here's the basic concept. At any given time, your creative projects should be classified into one of 2 lanes. The fast lane is about speed, so taking easy action, consistency, or maybe experimenting. These are projects where speed matters more than perfection. You're testing ideas, maybe putting things into the world quickly. So these can be great lightweight projects or practices that you want to be doing as frequently as daily or at minimum weekly. So for example, a daily short form video diary documenting your creative work over 30 days. Maybe they're 30-second videos, lightly edited, posted for 30 days. Perfect example of a fast lane project. The main goal isn't creating the most awe-inspiring piece of work. It's about committing to a project that has lots of little actions or moving parts that's optimized for speed and usually for showing up in the world. I think little fast lane projects like this are often more interesting marketing than other marketing that you might come up with too. You can come up with a creative concept, you can do it for a period of time, and it gives you something that you can naturally sort of do its own marketing. This way you're not stuck just trying to promote things all the time or to come up with all these marketing ideas. You've just got a project that you're actually documenting. In this case, the goal would be daily storytelling. The parameters would be a 30-second video. You'd create workflows to make it faster and easier each day so that it felt easy to do, probably do it at a set time. There's your current 30-day fast lane activity, and suddenly a bunch of your marketing is kind of doing itself on its own. All right, so maybe not on its own, you've still got to do the work, but you get the idea. Now the slow lane, well, this is where your bigger project lives. This is where that major piece of work or that next kind of thing that you're going to release lives. So your recording of your song or EP or album, or writing of the short story or the book, filming a short film or whatever it is, the deeper project, the one that is going to need more time and resources. It's going to have multiple parts to it. Hey, you might need to break it up into 1 or 2 or more years. You know the point of this project. It's something that is going to take you to the next step in your career. This is obviously going to be a slow lane project because it is something that's going to take time. It's going to have a much greater depth of work. And it's going to be that something, when you finish it and share it with the world, hopefully people will stop and take notice. It's going to help you grow your career. It's worth spending the time on because it helps you build credibility and connection and all of those sorts of things. It is your core art. I want to point out though that fast lane, slow lane isn't about having a creative project and a marketing project. Both of these lanes should be meaningful creative work because they are both creative projects. They're just designed differently and you're thinking about them differently. And if they're both creative, they're both more likely to feed each other. So fast lane experimentation can create ideas that might become or influence a slow lane project later on. And working on a slow lane project gives your fast lane output more of a reason to exist. They're not just tasks either. If we're piling up tasks in our fast lane, it's going to get clogged and slow down. Both lanes need space to breathe and a clear focus that can feel creatively fulfilling to you. Let's talk practicalities. So for your slow lane project, for example, often it'll need to be broken up into milestones. For example, if we're talking about a feature film and we're at the earlier stages, well, let's put that feature film in our slow lane. Let's put it as our end goal, but let's make our slow lane project writing the first version of the script. If we're thinking fast lane, let's try to think of something meaningful. So instead of a marketing goal like post daily on social media, it would be much better that we're thinking about writing a series of short articles that explore your creative process, something that might be interesting to you and to someone else that's creative or someone else that might like your work. I'm sure you can be a lot more creative than those ideas. They're purposefully vanilla. Just to give an example, and look, maybe you already do this. I do think most creative people do some version of this really instinctively. I have just found that having two clear lanes where you say, okay, look, what is my current slow lane? What is my current fast lane? I've found that that just gives me a boundary around my two projects. So I know that one lane is about building my breakthrough project or whatever's going to take my career to the next level, and the other one is about consistency. And then knowing that those are my two projects that I'm working on right now, it just makes it so much easier to not accidentally say yes to a whole bunch of other things. The naming of it has a point as well. I think it just allows us to quickly know, for example, if we're operating in our fast lane and we're procrastinating, it's a good sign that we need to adjust our fast lane activity. And if we're not taking meaningful steps in our slow lane project, we might need to adjust the size and scope so that it starts feeling more achievable. If you can nurture both and make progress on both, well, that's the win. Here's a couple of things to look out for. So too many slow lane projects is a big one that I've touched on. If you've got an album and a tour and you're recording a mini documentary and you're doing it mostly alone and you've never produced those projects before, well, you might find that the weight of it all is going to pull the whole slow lane apart. If you can't make meaningful progress in a 30, 60, or 90-day window on one part of your project and feel like you've actually achieved some finished work, then you've probably got too much in your pipeline. Better to put a song out and do one gig over the next 90 days and then see if the next time you can add a little bit more of the big dreamy end goal. Another example is being stuck in the fast lane only. If you're just posting content and your fast lane is the same all the time, well, you're gonna get sick of it. Your audience probably will too. I think it's a really easy and common way for creative people to burn out because they've lost connection with the purpose of the creative project itself and the larger creative ambition. In my experience, it's not always workload that burns us out. It can be lack of connection to our creativity and therefore our vision. And the last one, they don't have to both start at once. You don't have to right away know exactly what's going to go into each lane. Sometimes it's important to just step away and say, I need to do a bunch of research and discovery to work out what my slow lane project is, or if it's really something I want to actually do. Sometimes we might not have clarity on which of our projects makes the most sense for a slow lane. So maybe just starting with a small bite-sized project in the fast lane can get your creativity moving. The point here is that sometimes we just innately know what goes in both, but often we don't. That's totally fine. There's no right way or wrong way to use these. Just using them intentionally makes a lot of sense, I have found. All of these are hard-won lessons, and honestly, I'm still trying to live by them. I've got this wrong many times over in the past. I've probably spent the last decade or more having way too many projects in both lanes. if I'm honest. Even though this idea came up in 2015, 2016, I haven't been good at using this for a lot of the last decade, which is a shame because the times when I have, I've always been way more clear and focused and less anxious, honestly, about all the things I'm not doing. Right now is one of those times. I've got one project in each lane. One of them is the video you're watching. This is my fast lane. And I've got another project for Futureative that I'm working on in my slow lane. Yeah, I've got other creative projects outside of this too. Most of them music-based. I love being part of them. So I've had to have some conversations with people I love on projects I care about that I need to be careful with where I focus this year. The clarity that this fast lane and slow lane mental model has given me is, I suppose, the ability to have those important conversations. The conversations that in the past I've avoided because I honestly hate letting anyone down. Sharing all this in case any of it sounds familiar to you. All of this is to say that I know it's not as simple as just having two things on the go. That's also why this is so important for creative people, to know what your two priorities are. And having two priorities that can give you some balance and that can feed each other. I share this because I'm not here being like, I've totally got this figured out. I'm just a creative person who got really busy for about 10 years, put out some projects, started to build some actual community and proof of concept, built my own income, and then I burnt out. I quit social media for 7 years, I've recovered, and now I'm sort of starting all over again. This time around, I'm being a lot more methodical. I'm being careful about where I put my energy and when, and I'm trying to document some of the things that have been useful to me, some of the things that I'm using now going forward, in case they're interesting or useful to anyone else. I've found this genuinely useful regardless of the type of creative projects. I don't think it matters if it's music or film or design, putting on an event or writing. Anyone can benefit from this. I'd be really interested to know if it's something that you end up using, or if you already do something like this, what you call it, how you manage your workflows. I'm as interested in sharing this as I am hearing what's working for your workflows. So feel free to reach out and let me know. The point here is that this is just how I'm thinking about my creative projects, how I'm managing them. I do think it really makes a massive difference to get this into some type of a project management tool. Maybe if you're interested in how I organize that, let me know, and maybe that's another video in the future. So what do you think? How might this change how you manage your creative projects going forward? Is there something here you could implement? And what would you like that to do for you? The point of this and reflecting on these questions is that if we do this or something like this, I think we always have the chance to have two projects that are optimized for making something meaningful to us. And when we create work that means something to us, it's more likely to mean something to others. I've got a whole other video on that. So if the idea of meaning, your art, and why AI won't replace us in the future, if that interests you, you might enjoy watching that video next.